All right, one more sip of coffee and we'll get started here. So today is the 1st of July. Oh my gosh, happy 1st of July. We got the 4th coming up. What is really exciting, well, I shouldn't say exciting. It will be exciting if we can get our weather to cooperate here in Florida, where live. Then I think we could have a really good weekend with boats and sitting on the water and watching the firework display. So I'm super excited if we could see that. Again, things really need to dry up. We have a lot of storms that keep rolling in the morning. But nonetheless, the stock market is still open. We are closed on Monday, folks. We are closed on Monday. So if you're looking at buying next week's options, please note that time is against you. Time is the variable always when trading options. If you're trading equity, then probably not so much to worry about. Okay. Now, today could be maybe a little slow, and we'll talk about that. And I'll tell you why things could be slow. It's going to be an if this, then that type of scenario when trading today, because we are sitting just underneath a lot of resistance, and we're trying to chew through that resistance. And if we can do that, then I'll give you those levels that we could see. Okay. So on my screen on the left hand side, we got 3 columns here with the ES Futures, and this is my baby. This is what I go to. Okay. Very important to understand that. And yeah. So we'll talk about that first. Here's your weekly. This is going to be your daily, and this is going to be your 4-hour. And then over here, this is our 5-minute with the, obviously our scripts are on there, and we're also using the TTM squeeze to kind of talk about that. And over on the right-hand side here, this is my smaller account at the moment. This account is roughly about the size of most people's accounts, I would imagine. Pretty close anyways. And these are my live brokerage trades that come straight from that particular account. And this is a cash account. If we want to look at my bigger account, which is my margin account, then I simply just click on here and you're going to see those trades in here. Okay. So again, we'll go over here. This is where I'm concentrating at the moment, is in this account. So if we take any trades, you'll see that pop up here. And you can see yesterday, as I said plenty of times, we had Costco. Little bum that I didn't hold it. And we'll go over that and I'll talk about what I was looking for, why I took it. And then over here you had SPY, and then yesterday opened up IBB. All right. All right, so left-hand side, ES Futures, every 10 points, we're looking at about $1 in the SPY. So you can use this as a blueprint to trade SPY, okay? So same thing, just understand the ratios. Now, what I want to point out are the different structures that we're having here. So this is an inside structure, okay? Last week, we're hanging out right here, okay? And because we had this bullish candle, I wasn't a big fan of it. They basically gave us most of the points that that we wanted all in 1 week. And so this week we digested that move, which makes it very difficult for traders. Now, we did open up Monday talking about selling call credit spreads, and that was indeed the best way to approach this market, as I could see many people were having a hard time this week, including myself with some directionals. Okay, so not an easy market to trade in when we're sideways like this, but you have to understand that we don't always trend. Okay. So again, just kind of digesting that move. One thing that we want to take from this particular column, the weekly, and let me just go ahead and put that in there for you, a W for weekly, is that right here, okay, we are bumped up against the trendy cloud, right? So these are just some standard EMAs. You could see that it's there for a visual effect to let you know that, hey, we're under some resistance. Right here, we went inside and down. That lets you know right away that we had created some supply there. All right. The move out itself is not, detrimental. It did come down into a trendy level. We are now bidding right there. And for this week, I'd like to see the candle close above this blue line. All right. Now, what I love about this is that we're creating the structure that I want to see. That makes it a little bit easier to trade off going into next week. Again, short week, but I will be looking for that structure going into next week, and I will be teaching that structure. Okay. Over here, this is your daily. So let's go ahead and just put a D right there. Matter of fact, let's make it a capital, just like that. And I want you to see something again. We were inside the cloud. Anytime we're inside the cloud, I always tell everybody it's like a turbulent ride, right? It gets a little choppy, gets a little bumpy. You can't really trust it if you're trying to go long. All you can do is say, if this, then that. So if you're trying to stay long, it's like, hey, I don't mind staying long as we can stay either above this EMA or above the cloud. Now, the topping wicks, and again, you guys know I have a video out there on YouTube. It's very short and to the point. And honestly, probably the best thing to note when we're coming into a lot of resistance, and you could pretty much, it's a high probability that the market will continue down. Okay. So the topping wicks, buyers are exhausted, sellers are in control. And then we get this beautiful inside and down. Once again, a lot like the weekly over here, we're basically moving inside and down, creating some of that supply. We're moving down into, you guessed it, an inside and up formation and the trendy edge. Okay, so inside and down to inside and up. Here we are just hanging out. This has the looks of a possible rounding bottom from the edge here. So what we've done, in a sense, is created a ballpark range, right? So again, we have this level here, and then we have this level here, okay? And this is our playing field, all right? This is our playing field here. So if we do indeed round, we could see a move into here. If we don't, and we can't even get past this cloud, expect prices to break down and come and test this level under here, okay? All right, so that was the weekly, the daily. Now let's talk about the 4-hour. Now, because it's Friday, you're probably thinking like, why do we need to know all these different structures here? Well, we need to know the overall trend, right? But we will go to a smaller time frame and trade off of that, but I need you to understand what's happening here, right? Notice on the 4-hour, same thing, folks. We came down into the trendy edge. We went bid overnight in the ES Futures, and then we stopped here at the cloud. All right. So all three of these charts, you can see that the market itself is underneath supply. Okay. So bears are in control at the moment. All right. But we need to be flexible. We need to be like okay to take a trade to the upside, right? Even though the market's pulling back, you got to be comfortable. You got to understand where those levels are. Now, notice here on the ES Futures right here on my 5-minute, I can't make these things up. These levels are here for my traders before price gets there, okay? That's what's neat about them, all right? We don't have to wait for anything per se. We just wait for price to actually get to a level. And really, at the end of the day, your process should be only executing at levels. Anything between is typically speculation, and there's no process there in many, many cases. Notice here that we came down into the trendy edge. Also notice that these little red arrows were telling me not to do anything until price got to this trendy edge. Notice that we started to go bid here, but it was pretty ugly, okay? And then notice down here on the TTM squeeze, we started to squeeze, right? That's what the squeeze is there for, to let us know, hey, we're in that consolidation point, and what we're waiting for is either momentum up or momentum down. Now, because this is a trendy lower edge, this is demand. So what I'm looking for is that momentum up. Notice that we start firing here on the blue, these blue bars here, starts to let me know, hey, things are changing. I'm looking up at my candle saying, okay, we're going from red to white to green. I'm starting to fill it. And then we start to get the buy signals that come in here on the trendy scripts. And then you could see momentum here, and then we push from the trendy edge into what I call the line in the sand. The line in the sand is not the cash close. It's a script that's proprietary to here, and it works really, really well. And the reason why it works is that it's a certain time frame within the close and the maintenance, and basically it creates a pivot. All right. So anytime we're underneath that pivot, it's resistance. Anytime we're above it, it is support. So we need to commit to the candle right now. These candles need to close up over the line in the sand. Okay. And again, we do have some momentum up at the moment. All right. So if this, then that, folks, if price can start to hold above this 37.92 area, then we could potentially see a move today into 38.15 by 38.30 in that range. Okay. But I will have to tell you on all the time frames, it looks pretty stuck at the moment. Okay. Not sure if we have any catalysts coming out this morning. Kind of sit and wait and see if anything happens. Okay. All right. That is our ES Futures. Let's go over here to Nasdaq. It's going to be the exact same thing, folks. All right. If I come over here, you're going to see that the trendy edges worked very well on this chart as well at the daily edge. And it is right here. Okay, same thing. We came down into the edges or to demand. Prices did go bid. We pushed up into the line in the sand. And again, once again, we're sitting right under there. Now, I will say on the 5-minute, you're pretty much looking at, like an inverted head and shoulders. And again, we need to break through this line in the sand. All right. Over here on the left-hand side, notice that the cloud was resistance. That's what's awesome about the EMA clouds. If you don't have them, you should have them on your screen. Now, if you get a little bit of analysis paralysis, meaning there's just too much going on, a lot of times what you could do is take off that cloud to kind of clean it up a little bit. But I would be really open to having that cloud on your screen. Okay. So again, resistance here. This lets you know, that we're going to have a hard time. So even if you're long, you should be trimming and locking up those profits as we enter that cloud. Okay. Same thing, we created this inside and down over here on the daily, created an inside and down. This is a weekly over here. This is your daily. And let's just verify that really quick. Yep, weekly, daily, and this is going to be your 4-hour. And same thing, we are supported by trendy edges and we are rejected trendy edges. That's how this works. You buy at the lower edges, you take caution at the upper edges when you're underneath them. Not until we can build value above that. If this, then that. If price comes down into a lower edge, we're looking at buying. See, most people do it the exact opposite way. They are scared to buy at the lower levels or demand, right? And they start to buy up towards resistance because their endorphins open up and they're ready to trade and they're excited and they might see like a red to green or something, like that gets them super excited. But honestly, the best trade was down here. The better risk to reward was lower in demand. Okay. Over here on the right hand side, you can also see that we're just building up here as well. And we're underneath the line in the sand. If this, then that, we need to break at over 11,000, probably 540 before I get excited over here on the Nasdaq. All right. Let's see. And here we are going to go to, I don't think I have it up. Let's look right here. There we go. Let's wait for this to load really quick. All right, so we have what's called a neutral strategy here, right? And basically, when we break down underneath this level, you look to go short into T1, T2, and T3. You can see that all three of those worked this week. I was expecting, price to kind of hold in this area, and that's why those 3 targets that I had for you were pretty small. But the cool thing is you don't need me to draw this line on here. You have the trendy edges, and it's amazing. Look at that. Once again, I can't make this up. This was here for our members on Monday morning, and you could see that it worked really well if you're just waiting for that edge. Okay. Now over here on the QQQ, same thing. Let's take a look. And there we are. T1, T2, and T3 hit. Okay. And we are underneath the edge at the moment. All right. And I was saying over the weekend on the broad market analysis that the Qs were kind of leading, meaning they're kind of like the canary, right? And letting you know that they're selling off just a little bit more than what you have over here on the SPY. SPY demand levels worked over here on Q. The demand levels worked, but we did flush through the trendy edge. All right. So again, everything's looking pretty good. We haven't taken out any lows. We are making lower highs, all right, and lower lows now. And so we are kind of trending down at the moment. And you don't need me to tell you that. The banners right up here on the top of the screen are also letting you know what the weekly trend is. And you can see that both of them are bearish at the moment. Okay. All right, let's look at some charts really quickly. All right. So, sorry, I was looking at cattle futures last night. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. So, I want to take you over here into Costco. This is still a possible trade, but I really want to show you what was going on here. So, you could see that it was, had a really big day yesterday. Again, we were in this trade right at the right moment. If you ask me, it was perfect. And I want to tell you why I took that trade. Okay. Trade was building up. Notice that the trendy edge was holding. That's exactly why I took the trade. Okay. And I could have made 100% on this. I let it go early and I sold for $7.30 on those options. But you can see right here, trendy edge worked very well. That's the reason why I took the trade, folks. And notice that we pushed all the way up into the upper trendy edge. Now, I had my sell there. Okay. So I have my sell to sell right at the trendy edge. So I was a little frustrated with myself that I didn't keep it there. But we had other trades that were doing well. So I wanted to make sure that I was locking in my profits. So again, prematurely sold. But overall, you can see buying at the edge and selling at the edge was a perfect opportunity to make good money. All right. Now, for my trendy members, you guys know this is an ACDC setup. We are creating new levels today. The system is. I'm not creating them. And so you'll have new levels, so look out for those. But this was an ACDC, and there was a potential here for price to really move up towards the 530 level. Now, overall, this is how I look at this, okay? If Costco can break above this cloud, then things start to look good on a shorter term. On the weekly, just like I was showing you on SPY, we're right here underneath the cloud, so you got to be careful. Just kind of go with it. I've already taken the profits. I'm more interested to see how today pans out towards the end of the day. Yeah, we'll kind of go from there. But you could tell that we're consolidating in this area, and there's potential that we just go sideways. So maybe I could sell some calls against it, call credit spreads, and if for some reason it breaks out again, I can buy back the short side. Okay. All right. So next one is IBB. We start on this swing. So this is again in the small account. You can see what's going on here. This is so far. This candle is inside, and I like that it's closing up pretty high on the previous. Okay, it is underneath the cloud. All right, so that would be on the bear side. I'd be careful, but on the bullish side, we are closing up, and I would like to see this. Let's put some fibs on here really quick. Let's measure last week's candle to the pivot high, and I'd really like to see this stay above 116.60. Okay. 116.17, even better. As far as pre-market is, it's down 36. Well, it's not showing me anything. No trades. So, all right. But I like it. There could be some big catalysts out there that push this bad boy. On the monthly, this was my favorite look of it. It is rounding a little bit here. We have an inside and up. So inside and up. And the divergence tells me that price could push towards 125 to 130. So if you have a small account and you like spreads and you don't want to take, a bigger trade like this at 245, then you could be looking at a spread to kind of, maybe buy the Delta 50s and sell like the Delta 25s, for a little bit of time here. We'll see. All right. So again, that's IBB. And then yesterday, now this position, just so everybody knows, I went short AAL. And what I'd really like to see, and I'm going to have a tighter stop on this though. So my stop on here is somewhere between 10 and 30%. This is in the bigger account. If it starts to break, I would say probably about 1430. Then I'll look to sell it, or 1340. All right, in that area. I don't want it to get above this 23 or 38. All right, but I'm looking for it to come back in to about $10 and a half, 10.5. Okay. And again, that's AAL. All right, before we get started, we have about 4 minutes here. If you guys don't have any questions or any charts that you want me to take a look at, what I'm going to do is bring up ES one more time. Okay, and we're going to just concentrate here so I can coach through it and make you understand what's going on. And you know, I have a lot of screens here. So I'm monitoring quite a bit of stuff. And if I see anything that it looks like we'll trade, you'll see it come up. That's what's awesome about the brokerage account, right? Link to the room. You guys don't have to, you know, I don't have to type stuff in, or, you know, we don't have to wait a long time for you to get my answer. You just kind of see what I'm doing over here. All right. All right. Check out that line in the sand. All right. So let's evaluate here. We have 3 minutes, folks. This is the trending methodology. This is what we do every single morning. All right. Whether you're a futures trader or you're just trading SPY, remember the ratio, right? 10 to 1. Okay. 10 points in the ES, looking at about $1 in the SPY. So let's look at our risk to reward here. Let's talk about the methodology. Okay. We already know that over here, we're underneath resistance. Okay. Look over here on a smaller time frame. Okay. We're bumping up against a line in the sand. We look at what's called the PMZ, the pre-market zone. We have a risk of 4.6. Let's just call it 5. Okay. Okay. So 5 points is my risk, or 50 cents and SPY, right? And then my targets, very important. What would my targets be? Okay. And we just go like this. We work from the lower edge. We're looking for the upper edge, but we have these lines here that we can trim at. Okay. Those are funny. All right, let's see if we can get a pivot high over this line in the sand. And there we go. All right, so what we're going to be doing, see these levels right here? Boom, touch your first level. Okay. Notice we're getting a squeeze here. What I'd like to see is that we can hold and that we can make higher highs on the squeeze. There we go. All right, this is your next level. This is a trendy mid. Now, again, I think we would be topped out today if we start to build value above that trendy mid. I think we're topped out between 15 and maybe 30, 38.15, 38.30 today. Okay. All right, notice we hit the trendy edge. So again, if you're taking this trade out of the PMZ, we know that we have a 5-point risk and you know what your target's going to be. All right. So taking the trade over this gives you 8 points. So it's a 5-point stop, 8-point gain. And you should be trimming into that edge there. Or closing. I know it's pretty quick, but $50 per point on ES Futures micro. you're looking at $5. So if you're a new futures trader, um, and you want to trade futures, try the micros, right? But the idea here is for everybody to understand how well the levels work. And you can see that any level that I have on my screen to the upside is resistance until proven otherwise. Okay. And the overall trend, see, you got to be careful because the overall trend was down and we're underneath resistance. So it's going to be a little shaky on the open. Costco crossing 483. Sweet. You ain't short on what? Dip? Hmm. Where do you see that though? Definitely don't have that on my screen. Anything telling me that? No, that's just momentum. Momentum up, but momentum is not as strong as it was. You'd be looking for red dots, squeeze, and then the red lines firing. Now you can, I will say this, that's the cool thing is you can use that. You're definitely right. So that's what I'm looking at for the downside, right? When we come into a demand level, I'm actually looking for the yellow, right? So that the sellers are exhausted, and then I start to look for my long out of my demand zones. So you're right. You are right. Yeah. So I like that. So your perspective is great, right? And that's the thing. You don't have to wait. You could trade off of the different colors. I like it a lot. Mm. Hey, dude, you're doing good so far. Let's go. I like that, man. So you see the red dot forming here? So you already got into the trade perfectly, right? And so for you, if things start to fire to the downside, then you'll do really well on that. Nothing wrong with that, man. You don't have to. You don't have to be too particular. And that's the thing, right? But that's like the go-to. I think it's just like trendy edges, right? Everyone's gonna have like their own little piece. That's why I would definitely highly recommend studying the whole thing. We're caught in a trap. Sideways trap, man. It's like purgatory. What do we got on the screen? It's pretty. You're on audio, right, Dip? Austin? Hey, what's up, dude? Yeah, we just look at this. We're just kind of caught in a sideways channel. So basically squeezing, right? So you're just, that's identifying that you're in that squeeze. And I mean, looking at the chart, you could see that we're just kind of caught here, man. If we're only using the trendy edges and looking at it from a, like a high on the curve, low on the curve, we're in the middle, right? So don't diddle in the middle per se, or it gets like this. It's quick moves though, quick scalps. Okay. Oh, nice. Really? Oh, nice, man. I like that. So five deltas, at least 2 weeks out, or sometimes a week, or okay. Cool, man. Yeah, it's kind of funny when you're looking at the DTE or, days till expiration and also the delta. Sometimes like a delta 5 is not attractive, right? It's like super lotto-ish, but on SPX, man, if you got the right system and process, those bad boys can turn for you, right? Yeah, it's pretty awesome, man. Let's see what we got here. See what Baba looks like. It's on a 5 minute. Get a little buy signal, and we could see 116 here. So if you like this would be like a stop, 114.18. This would be more of a day trade, and you're shooting for the top edge here. Okay, we're firing off a little buy signal there. Also starting to move above the line in the sand. All right, we did take out a new high. And again, 38.15 is possible here. Just had to be patient and wait to see if we can start to move over. I just feel like we're moving edge to edge at the moment. Until we start to close underneath this channel, we're just simply squeezing. See our PDD trade. Let's take a look at that as it's trying to do something. There we go. Let's go. Look at that edge trade, guys. On our PDD trade, on our small account. What do we get in? Let's see. Oh. For a little guy, this thing can move, so you can see China name. Boom. See that right there, folks? So if you took that, getting paid right into the Trendy edge there. So a lot of times if you're trading looking at the ES futures and then you're looking over here on whatever instrument you might be trading, a lot of times what I'll do is go, okay, well, if we could push, another 12 points here, what does that do for BABA? You know, and there is a possibility that if we can get up and over the edge, you're looking for 117 by 118.05. Okay. All right, guys. So what we call this edge to edge. Basically, what you're trading is demand into supply. And this is right about the time that you feel a little bit of euphoria. Really want to see this up here. And we're starting to get some momentum change on the IBB. That's a plus. And we're almost to the edge there on IBB. Yeah, almost there, man. Almost there. So our intraday fibs, the way you want to run this and stay in that trade is as long as we could stay above the 23.6 here. So as long as we bid, and you got to commit to the candle, so the candle needs to close below the 23.6. Yeah, Costco's almost 10 bucks in the money. It's insane. And all right, so your first, remember, it doesn't mean that this is going to happen, but one of your first signs that the momentum may change is when you are getting very close to one of your levels, but also the topping wick. Okay, so that's what we got going on right now. And then what you want to be looking for is if we go inside for any reason of this particular candle and we close, you want to be looking at the cloud itself. This is going to be your support, okay, of this particular trend that we're looking at right now. All right. We haven't quite touched the edge yet. Very, very close. Costco, if we can pull back a little, 484, I might want to shoot for a roll on that trade. Yeah. So probably a little bit of a heartache this morning. I took my loss on BA yesterday and look at it. And that is a good sign of when you add up your position and it's really small, it's like, why get rid of it? You know? So if any of you guys held on, then you are in luck. Our small account today, guys, check it out. So we'll pull that up right here. Is looking pretty good. So this is our small account challenge that we put out yesterday. And you can see we're up almost $1,000, getting close. Not bad. So we'll just keep checking on that here and there. Again, that's the small account. See how the trendy edge worked there for Baba? Now watch this. We're flagging. We haven't quite touched the trendy edge. There's a possibility that we snap into there. We get a new, I wouldn't say higher high here, but you might get a lower high. And then the market kind of pull back into the cloud here. Nothing wrong with that. Let's go over here and check out PDD. It's pretty exciting stuff right there, right? You want it to last, but you're also getting a little overextended on the 5 minute. You know, we did go inside. Question is, do you flag here or you break down into the cloud? We're so close to the upper edge here. I'm not sure. I think so, though. I think that's what Ben was telling me yesterday. So PDD, this is a really cool trade because, yeah, let me show you guys really quick. So right here, so what we're looking at is that we came down into the trendy edge, okay, right here. We found that support, but I want you to notice on the TTM squeeze on the 4 hour, sellers were getting exhausted towards the trendy edge, and that's what I wanted to look for, okay? So this started to rise, okay? You could see that. And then here, again, we had that trendy edge. So we're looking for demand. You guys understand that? Those who are listening, you guys like understanding what I'm showing you? What you should be looking at on your screens? So when those sellers are selling, right? So when they're selling, you're looking down here on the TTM squeeze, you're seeing that the momentum is down, okay? But what you should be looking at on the trendy screen is whether you have some edges to trade into. As price gets there, notice that we still see some red here, okay? But notice that the edge is holding. So I'm not going to short anymore Matter of fact, what you want to be looking for is that we start to see yellow bars and that sellers are getting exhausted. A lot of times when teaching demand and supply, what I see is that traders, including myself at times, will get into the trade a little too early. Okay. And it makes for a lot of impatience and you start to do a lot of weird things, right? So in this case, this is kind of helping you out here and letting you know that there is a potential squeeze about to happen and we could see that move into our upper trendy edges. Okay, so that's what's going on. So far this is looking really good. I think Costco, man, that trade would have been just absolutely monstrous, guys. We had the 480 calls and now $9 in the money. Pretty sick. I was trying to think here, like, do I want to jump into Costco again? It's kind of hard on a $10 update on a Friday, but we're breaking out of this channel here. I wouldn't expect there to be much of a breakout, but the bigger look is what I really liked here. Look at this bad boy, inside and up. We're in the cloud. This looks like 530 written all over it if we can hold next week at 470. Yeah. All right, so we hit the trendy edge, almost to the tick, guys. And notice the sell off. So we did move edge to edge. So maybe, a little bit of feedback if you're looking for that short, you know, looking at the supply zone versus this area here, just because we're in the middle, right? So hindsight, but we could sell off here and go all the way back down to the lower edge. But we did trade from the demand zone into the supply zone, and then we're just kind of holding still there. Overall, futures up, ES Futures 14. So looking at SPY, you should, $1.50 somewhere in there. AMD did take that plunge that we were looking for. We didn't lose money on that trade, made some money, but holding those puts, paying off as well. If you held BA, you actually went in the money this morning. Underdog, are you on here? It's curious if you stayed in Boeing for that move up. had some rules back in the day is you know, if my positions, if you open up and your positions are under $100, I don't typically sell them. Oh yeah, 150s. So that's a great demonstration of the edges working. Pretty awesome there. And we said, okay, cool. Nice job, man. Using the levels. There you go. Your semis are pushing up into their daily intraday clouds. Potential short opportunity in here on AMD, NVIDIA, if these clouds reject.